Hello and welcome to Edupedia World. And we can move it in some different place. Let's put it above the star and call it blue blob. This is just a blue blob. And there we go. I've now created a star with a blue blob, a solid, and a sign that says tutorial for everyone. Actually, the stroke is way too thick, so let's just change that. So now what do I do if I think my blue blob has the wrong shape? Well, you're gonna have to change it. What a surprise. Well, now we want to work on our blue blob, but we don't want to have to move it to the side or do all sorts of stuff, so I'll just undo that. We have a option to solo this layer, and it's down here. You can see this white dot called solo, and it hides all non-solo layers. So if you just click here, then we solo our blue blob. But let's say we want to see how it looks with the star. We can also solo the star with the blue blob, and these two will now be soloed together, and only these two layers that are soloed will be shown together. So since we don't want to see our star, we can just hide that again, and we can now work on our blue blob for ourselves. And if you don't remember, the way I move around, pan around, is by using the middle mouse button and then clicking and dragging. Press down the scroll wheel and just drag. You can also use spacebar, hold spacebar down and then click and drag, or you can press H, and this will give you your hand tool. But well, how do we change this? Let's just first double click on it, and we can see these small points popping up, and we can now just pick these and move them around. And let's say we want a sharp corner right here, so we'll just move this in and then pick this and drag it so it is in the right position, and also make a sharp corner here and click and drag, and there we go. We've now got a sharp corner. Let's say we want a blob to an arm to go out here. We actually can't do that because we haven't got a point right here. Well, how do we add a point? We go up to this menu, hold it down, and then use the Add Vertex Tool. We can just click right here and then go up to our pen tool again, and we will drag it out. Let's just take this thing and pull it down so we get or we want this to go in here. What do? We just click right here, add a vertex, and then let's drag in. And right now I'm just using this pen tool. You can also just click on the side here and add vertices as it's called. That way you don't actually have to use the Add Vertex tool. You can also remove vertices. Yeah. So I'll just use this Delete Vertex tool, and let's say this vertex, we want to delete that. Click, and it's gone. And we could add a new one just because we can. Move it out here and press V, click, and we are done editing. We've now got our new shape, the blob, and we want to see how it looks with the other layers. So just unsolo this layer, and here we are, and undo that. As you can see, now this is absolutely perfect. This little sign looks really awesome, and yeah, now you know how you can use these. What have you used? Solid, text layer, and the shape layer. Now I want to show you guys how you can use the video and the image layers with these layers. So now I want to show you how you can add some video and images to our lovely composition. So let's just right click and say import, and then just pick a file. And of course we want this close-up of a flower. Import. And we also want this picture of a graphics card. Import. So if we want to add our footage to this composition, we'll just drag it and then decide where in the layer stack we want it to be. We'll just place it somewhere, and yeah, as you can see, since this is full HD, it will of course fill the whole composition, and that means it will block out everything beneath it. So if I put this to the bottom, it will be behind all our stuff. If we scrub along, you can see our footage is moving in the background, and this may just be what you want. We can also say, okay, I want to add an image. We can have our graphics card and then just drag it in somewhere. And since this is a small image, it won't fill out so much of the screen. So we can just place this somewhere, and let's just say we are happy with how this looks. So maybe this blob has to go beneath the image, and the red box, and the kinda large box, and the text. Let's say this is a title for itself, so this is a title for itself, so we want to be able to move all of this together. How do we do that? We can, so if you look right here, if I just say, okay, I want to move the tutorial, but the background or the sign that it's a part of doesn't move with it, and well, that's a problem. The way we move all these three layers together is by making something called a pre-composition. We want to take these three layers and then merge them together to one layer, and then we can move them all together. So how we do that is just by selecting them. So selecting the first one and then shift click on the last one, and it will select everything in between. Then you can just say right click and pre-compose, or Control Shift C, and we get two options: leave all attributes and move all attributes. Here we only have the option of moving all the attributes, and that's because we have selected more than one layer. So let's just give this a name. I'll call this title, and hit OK. And as you can see, the three layers now got merged into one layer, and the layer got this weird brown color. And you will also see here in our project panel, we have now got a new composition, and that's what we did. We took these three layers and then pre-composed them into a composition. So that means these three layers are now in their own composition, like all these layers are. If we double click on title, we're gonna open that composition, and here you can see we have got our three layers in a composition called title. So we can maybe say, okay, the text has to be over here, and then if we go into our other composition, it will have updated. If we want two titles, let's just quickly move this back. If we want two titles, then instead of having to go in here and duplicating everything, we can actually just take a new, or this composition up here, and then just drag it in, because this is now just an image or a video file. It can be treated as both. So if we just drag it in and then move it to the side, you can see we've now got two compositions in our one big composition. So you now know how you can pre-compose stuff. We could also say this graphics card and the blue blob and the yellow star, they have to move together. We can make them move together by not pre-composing. As you see, if you press P, you can see you get some position attributes, and they are some different numbers that represents the X and Y coordinates. If you want to make the star and this graphics card and this one move together, you can actually just make their positions move relatively to each other. So how to do that? Well, we can take our blue blob and then set the blue blob's parent, or maybe say our graphics card's parent, to be the blue blob, and also the star, set that one's parent to be the blue blob. And what that has done is that these, the star and the graphics card image, will now take the position and also the scale and rotation of the blue blob and then apply it to itself. So if we take the blue blob and move it, you can see the image and the star moves with it. If I were to move the star, then that wouldn't do anything, because the graphics card or the blue blob isn't in any way parented or connected to the star. It's only the star that's connected to the blue blob. So here you can see we can move the blue blob, and that moves everything, and we can move this image and that does nothing, and we can move the star and that does nothing other than moving the star and the image. So that is a bit of how to parent stuff and also how to pre-compose. It does some of the same things, but it can be used in different scenarios. We could actually also use another layer to do this parenting thing. I will just for now set these to none, so these aren't parented to anything, and we want to say all these three elements, our image, star and the blue blob, we want those to be we want to be able to move those from one point. So we want to be able to just move one point, and then these three elements will move with it. And the way we can do that is by using a null object. And a null object looks like this. It's just a little red box, and as you can see here, it has a anchor point. This is where its origin. This is where its position is. And you can move it around and do all sorts of stuff with it. For this, we want to call it, for this example, it's a position controller. So we will use this to control the position of a blue blob, graphics card and the yellow star. So how to do that? Well, we take our star and say, okay, I want to parent that to the position controller. I want to parent my graphics card to the position controller, and etc. Now if you move this, they will all move with it. You can do this in another way. We set these to none. You can also take this little pick whip. You can just click on it and drag. So I want to take this, click and drag it onto the position. And now, as you can see, it does the same. This parents this layer to the position controller. So if you look right here, it says none. When I click and drag, it says position controller, and this is essentially done the same, but it may just be a little easier, a little quicker to do it that way. So That's another way of parenting layers together. Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Stay tuned for more videos.